The alarm screamed across the obsidian towers of Prime. Prince General ran through the shattered hallway, plasma smoke burning his lungs. Behind him, the royal guards shouted orders, trying to regain control, but heard only one voice, the terrified cry of his sister. "Hey, hold on." The floor shook again. A violent blast tore through the wall, showering everything with glowing shards, raised his arm to shield his face. Through the flames, he saw her, Princess, dangling from a broken platform suspended over the endless chasm below the citadel. "Brother," her voice cracked, "I can't hold." "You will," leapt forward. But before he could reach her, a blinding vortex ripped open above the chasm like the sky itself had been cut. A violent wind sucked everything upward, debris, fire, pieces of the ceiling, and his heart froze as the swirling blue light pulled her from the platform. She screamed once, his name, before the vortex swallowed her whole. Then it closed. Just like that. Silence followed, heavy, painful silence. Dropped to his knees. The guards stood behind him, unable to speak. He stared at the empty space where his sister had been. Princess, heir to the throne, beloved by their people. Gone. King did not break easily. He was a ruler forged by centuries of war and wisdom. But when stood before the throne and spoke 4 words, even the ancient king trembled. "Father is gone." The king's golden eyes dimmed. He dismissed everyone except his son. For a long moment he didn't speak. Then he walked to the wide, crystalline window overlooking his vast empire. "Describe it," the king commanded quietly. Told him everything. The explosion, the shaking platform, the vortex that tore open from nothing. When he finished, closed his eyes, and his voice lowered to a whisper no warrior had ever heard from him. "The Rift Devourer. A forbidden ancient phenomenon, a cosmic wound, a place no one returned from. If she was taken by that anomaly," the king said, "then she is lost." Bowed his head, guilt choking him. "I should have reached her, I should have." "Do not blame yourself," placed a heavy hand on his son's shoulder. "The universe decided her fate." But didn't accept that. As he left the throne room, he whispered to himself, "I will find her, no matter where she is." For 3 years, the kingdom mourned Princess. The royal banners stayed half-raised. Songs turned somber. The people built a memorial garden where she used to walk among silver-leaf trees. But loss changed King. He became quieter, colder. His once powerful voice turned weary, and at night, hidden from all, he stood alone on the balcony, staring at the stars he once believed he understood. "Where are you, my child?" he would whisper. Far from Prime, in a distant corner of a forgotten star cluster, a storm of cosmic energy burst open without warning. A small silver ship drifted out of the tier, spiraling in strange patterns before stabilizing. Inside, a single figure gasped for breath. Princess opened her eyes. Her body ached, her vision blurred, but she was alive. She touched her chest, then her face, whispering in disbelief, "I survived." Her memories were scattered, flashes of falling, of light wrapping around her, of drifting through something like a dream. Then she heard a voice behind her. "You're awake, thank God." Spun around. A human stood near the control panel. Tall, dark-haired, wearing patched flight gear and holding a cup of steaming liquid. He smiled nervously. Hi, I'm Jacob. You kinda fell into my ship, literally." Blinked at him, stunned. His appearance was strange, soft, and warm compared to the angular features of her race. She tried to speak, but her throat burned. Jacob stepped closer, raising his hands in peace. "Easy, you're safe." Safe. Hadn't heard that word in a long time. She stared at him, this human who had rescued her, tended to her wounds, and kept her alive. And for the first time since she had vanished, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. She looked out the viewport at the stars. "Father, I'm coming home." But she had no idea the storm her return would unleash. And neither did Jacob, the human who would stand beside her against an entire galaxy. Jacob had expected many strange things in space, But waking up with an alien princess unconscious on the floor of his cargo ship was not one of them. For 2 days after she woke, barely spoke. She sat near the viewport, wrapped in a silver emergency blanket, staring at the stars as if searching for familiar shapes. Jacob kept his distance at first. He didn't want to scare her. He only talked when she allowed it, soft, careful sentences. Food's ready, it's simple, but it's warm. Drink water slowly, you're still recovering. Accepted the food, but avoided looking at him for long. She moved with the grace of royalty even in exhaustion, yet he could see the fear behind her calm mask. Jacob didn't push. He just kept the ship running, kept the atmosphere stable, and kept her safe. On the third night, a thunderous noise woke him. Metal groaned. The ship tilted violently. Jacob sprinted to the cockpit. A storm of red cosmic dust swirled outside the windows. "Great," he muttered. "Gravity rift wins." Appeared behind him, holding onto the door frame. "What is happening?" He glanced back. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were alert. "We hit a gravity dust storm. It's unpredictable, hold on." She moved beside him, gripping the back of the pilot's seat. Her fingers trembled. Jacob noticed. Fear. Real fear. The ship shook hard enough to throw them sideways, lost her footing. Jacob grabbed her before she hit the floor. Their faces ended up inches apart. Her breath caught, and her purple irises glowed faintly in the dim red emergency lights. Jacob quickly steadied her. "I've got you." For a moment, she didn't move, didn't breathe. Her expression softened in a way she didn't seem to understand herself. Then she pulled away, flustered, clearing her throat. Thank you." Jacob returned to the controls. "You're okay." The storm lasted another 2 hours. By the end, both were exhausted, but the ship steadied, sank into the co-pilot chair. "My people believed I was dead," she whispered. Jacob paused mid-check. This was the first time she spoke about her past. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked gently. She looked out the window. "I was taken by a cosmic rift, a tear in reality. No one escapes such things." Jacob watched her carefully. She seemed so strong, yet the weight she carried was crushing. He leaned back. "Well, you escaped." She turned to him slowly. "Do you know why I survived?" Jacob shrugged. "Because you're stubborn." She blinked. Then softly she laughed. A quiet, fragile laugh, but real. "No," she said, "because your ship was there at the exact moment the rift spat me out." Jacob scratched the back of his head. "Honestly, I thought you were debris at first. Then I saw you floating unconscious, and I knew I couldn't leave you." Tilted her head. "Why, you did not know me." "Didn't need to," Jacob said simply. "Someone was in danger, that's enough." She studied him as if he were a puzzle. Humans were known to her people, primitive, unpredictable, emotional creatures. But this one, he didn't hesitate to help her. He didn't ask what she was, what she could offer, or whether she was dangerous. He just helped. "Humans," she murmured, "are strange." Jacob grinned. "We get that a lot." Later that night, walked through the small ship quietly. She examined everything, the humming engines, the glowing wires, the worn-out floor panels. Everything felt different from the grand halls of her home. But something else stirred inside her. A sense of safety. Jacob was asleep in his chair, head resting against the wall, arms crossed. He looked peaceful, though exhausted. He must have stayed awake for hours to keep the storm from destroying the ship. Stepped closer. She had never seen a human this close before. His face was rougher, his features softer compared to her people. His breathing was steady, slow. He had risked himself for her. And he didn't even know who she was. Suddenly Jacob stirred. His eyes opened halfway. "You okay?" he muttered sleepily. Froze. "I was only checking if you needed rest." He gave her a tired smile. "You're the one who needs rest. Go sleep, I'm fine." Something warm touched her chest, a feeling she hadn't felt since before she fell into the rift. She nodded. "Good night, Jacob." As she walked away, Jacob whispered under his breath, "I'm getting you home, don't worry." But neither of them knew. Returning home would start a storm bigger than any cosmic rift. For the next few days grew stronger. Jacob noticed the change in small ways. She walked without holding the walls. She slept without waking from nightmares. She began asking questions about humans, carefully, shyly. What do humans value most? Why do you explore space alone? What do you hope to find? Jacob answered honestly. Humans value freedom. I explore because Earth is too crowded. And I guess I hope to find something worth protecting. Listened to every word, as if collecting pieces of him in silence. But inside her heart, tension grew. Home was calling her, and with every passing hour, she feared what awaited her return. One morning, Jacob found her in the storage bay, staring at a glowing. He saw her hands trembling. What's wrong? She didn't speak at first. Her voice finally cracked. I found our location. We are close to my people's territory. Jacob slowly approached. That's good, right? You can finally go home. Closed her eyes. Jacob, my father believes I died 3 years ago. The whole kingdom believes it. She swallowed hard. They mourned me. They built memorials. If I return, I don't know if they will even accept what they see. Some may think I am an illusion sent by an enemy. Jacob folded his arms. But you're alive, that has to mean something. She shook her head. My father is a king. In our culture, the dead do not return. Those taken by cosmic rifts are considered erased. Jacob paused, trying to read her expression. She was afraid, not of battle or danger, but of facing the man she loved most. You want to go home, Jacob said gently, but you're scared he won't believe you. Nodded once, slow and heavy. Yes. Jacob took a breath. Then I'll speak for you. Her eyes widened. You, a human, my father will never. I'll still try, Jacob said quietly. You shouldn't face this alone. Stared at him for a long moment. Her expression softened, then tightened again with worry. You do not understand what could happen. My father, he is not cruel, but he is powerful. He would never harm me. But you, he may see you as a threat. Jacob shrugged lightly. I'm used to people thinking I'm trouble. Jacob, please, her voice wavered. This is not a simple meeting. When we arrive, we will be surrounded by guards, sensors, scanning drones. If they decide you are dangerous, they will act instantly. Jacob stepped closer. I'll take the risk. His breath caught. Why? He hesitated only a moment. Because you matter. Froze as if the words struck her chest with force. She turned away, hiding her face. Humans, she whispered, are far too brave for their own good. Jacob smiled softly. Maybe, but I'm still coming with you. 4 days later, their ship crossed into royal space. The change was instant. The stars brightened with the reflection of giant crystalline stations. Royal cruisers glided through the dark like silver serpents. Giant spires of light marked the border, each one a warning to outsiders. Stood beside Jacob in the cockpit, her posture stiff, her hands clenched behind her back. Jacob felt the tension radiating off her. You okay? He whispered. No, she answered honestly. Suddenly alarms blared. A deep voice echoed through the comms. Unidentified vessel, you have entered sovereign territory of the Empire. Power down your engines and prepare for inspection. Jacob raised his hands in surrender. Well, here we go. Stepped forward and activated the comm. This is Princess of House, she said, her voice clear and strong. I request immediate audience with the royal command. A long silence followed. Then gasps, shouting disbelief. More voices came through, trembling. Identity confirmation required. Impossible, she is deceased. Scan the vessel. Jacob glanced at her. They seemed shocked. Whispered they believed their princess vanished into nothing, and now she speaks again. Seconds later, a massive cruiser drifted up beside them, dwarfing Jacob's ship like a mountain beside a pebble. Princess, a commander said slowly. If this is truly you, then your father must see this with his own eyes. Inhaled deeply. This was it. Her return home. She turned to Jacob, voice trembling ever so slightly. Stay close to me. Do not speak unless spoken to, and Jacob, whatever happens, thank you. Jacob met her eyes with a steady calm. I'm not going anywhere. The cruiser locked onto them with a tractor beam. And together, the lost princess and the human who saved her were pulled toward a kingdom that had already mourned her. The hangar of the royal cruiser was enormous, metallic floors shining like mirrors, tall arches glowing with blue energy, and soldiers lined in perfect formation. As Jacob's small ship landed, the atmosphere tightened like a bowstring. Stood at the ramp, hands shaking slightly. Jacob moved beside her, voice low. You're strong, you can do this. She didn't look at him, but she nodded. Stay close. The ramp lowered with a hiss. A wave of cold air washed over them. Hundreds of armored guards raised their weapons the moment Jacob appeared behind. One voice shouted, Human detected, keep distance. Jacob froze. His voice rang out like a blade. Stand down, he is under my protection. The hangar fell silent. The commander stepped forward, tall, sharp-featured, his armor glowing with royal insignia. His eyes fixed on with disbelief and awe. Princess, you truly live. She stepped toward him. Commander, I need to return home at once. My father must hear everything. The commander hesitated. Your father, he still mourns you. He keeps your chamber untouched. His voice cracked slightly. Forgive me, princess, but this is overwhelming. Softened, I know. Then's expression darkened as he turned to Jacob. And the humans? Jacob raised a hand. Hello. Before could speak, barked. Humans are forbidden inside royal territory. They are considered unpredictable and primitive. This one cannot accompany you. Stepped forward sharply. He saved my life. That does not matter. It does, she said, her voice rising. Without him, I would not stand here today. Bowed his head. Princess, your father decides, not I. Two guards stepped toward Jacob, ready to restrain him. His eyes flashed. I said he stays with me. Her tone carried royal authority, a command no one could refuse. The guards froze. Swallowed, very well. Until the king speaks, he remains under watch. But one wrong move from this human and... He won't, said firmly. Jacob whispered to her, You didn't have to defend me like that. She turned slightly. Yes, I did. The journey to the capital planet was painfully quiet. Sat stiffly, her hands gripping the seat, eyes fixed on the stars. Jacob watched her carefully. The closer they got, the more fear he saw behind her calm face. Want to talk? Jacob asked. No. Jacob nodded. Okay, but just know whatever happens, I'm right behind you. His throat tightened, she didn't answer. The capital world's crown shone like a living jewel. Massive floating palaces, sky bridges of light, gardens suspended in air. Jacob stared out the window, mesmerized. Your home is incredible, he whispered. Looked out too, but sadness shadowed her eyes. It used to be. When they landed at the royal citadel, soldiers surrounded the platform instantly, more than before. Jacob leaned toward, friendly welcome. She shook her head. This is not for celebration, this is fear. Of me, Jacob asked. No, of change. The captain of the royal guards approached and bowed deeply. Princess, the king awaits in the throne hall. His heart thudded. She was about to face her father, after 3 years of being considered dead. What words could explain her return? What truth could ease his pain? Two guards stepped beside Jacob, grabbing his arms. Hey, Jacob jerked back. Snapped, release him. It is procedure, the guard replied coldly. No outsider may approach the king unrestrained. Clenched her fists but finally sighed. Jacob, allow it for now. Jacob gave a small nod. It's okay. But's expression showed clearly. She hated it. The throne hall doors opened. The hall was vast, lit by golden light. At the center stood King, tall, silver-haired, eyes glowing with ancient power. He turned at the sound of footsteps, and the world stopped. His eyes widened, his breath caught, his hands trembled. Stepped forward, voice breaking. "Father," whispered, barely a breath, "my child." He moved toward her slowly, as if afraid she would vanish. When he stood before her, he raised a shaking hand to her face. You are real." Tears filled his eyes. "I'm home." The king pulled her into a fierce, trembling embrace. Years of grief poured out in a single moment. Jacob watched silently, relieved. But then the king's gaze shifted to him. Instantly, the warmth disappeared. "Why," the king growled, "is a human here?" Stepped between them. "He saved me." The king's eyes hardened like stone. "No human enters this hall unless he has a purpose." Jacob met his gaze. "I'm here because she asked me to be." The king's voice thundered across the hall. "Then your presence must be judged." Jacob felt guards tighten their grip, and realized her return would not be the final challenge. It was only the beginning. Silence weighed heavily in the throne hall. King released his daughter slowly, as though afraid she would fade again, but his eyes never left Jacob. The warmth he showed vanished, replaced by sharp suspicion. "Bring the human forward," the king commanded. The guards pushed Jacob ahead. He stumbled but stayed upright, immediately moved to his side, blocking one guard's hand. "He is my protector," declared. "Treat him with respect." Raised a hand. "Stand down." The guards obeyed, but the king's stare stayed cold. Jacob felt the air around him thicken with pressure, an invisible force like gravity tightening. He gritted his teeth, refusing to kneel. The king noticed. "Not bowing?" asked. Jacob breathed slowly. "I bow only if I choose, not because I'm forced." Gasps echoed across the hall. Some guards reached for their weapons. His heart jumped. "Father, he means no disrespect." The king studied Jacob, expression unreadable. A bold creature, just like humans are famous for. Jacob kept his eyes steady. "I'm just being honest." "And honesty is dangerous," the king replied. Returned to his throne. His voice boomed through the hall. "Explain how you found my daughter." Jacob looked at briefly, then spoke. "I was flying through a quiet sector. A rift opened, blue light unstable. She fell out of it unconscious. She was barely breathing. I took her in." "You expect me to believe a primitive wanderer survived a cosmic rift?" the king asked. Jacob shrugged. "Believe what you want. I didn't survive the rift. She did. I just caught her afterward." Narrowed his eyes. "Why save her?" Jacob responded without hesitation. "Because she needed help. Even though she was not your kind." Jacob frowned. "Why would that matter?" Whispers rippled across the hall. The king leaned forward slightly. "And what do you expect in return?" "Nothing," Jacob said. His expression darkened. "Lies. No human acts without wanting a reward." Stepped forward sharply. "He is telling the truth." Raised his voice. "Silence, child." His breath hitched. Jacob saw the pain flash across her face and stepped forward. "Don't talk to her like that." The hall exploded with outrage. "Insolence. How dares a human? This creature should be removed." Guards surged forward, but lifted a hand and froze them. His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. "You defend my daughter, human." Jacob held his ground. "Yes." "You stand against my order." "Yes." "You risk death for her." Jacob swallowed hard. "If that's what it takes." The king rose from his throne slowly, each step echoing like thunder. His towering figure stopped only inches from Jacob. "What connection," asked, "could a short-lived, fragile human possibly have with a royal heir of my blood?" Jacob didn't flinch. "I don't need a connection," I just care about her. The hall went silent. His eyes flickered. Care. His breath trembled. Jacob nodded. She's strong, brave, smarter than anyone I know. She survived 3 years alone in a place nobody survives. She deserved someone on her side, so I stayed. You stayed with her? Asked softly. Yes. Protected her? Yes. Helped her survive? Yes. And she requested your presence here. Stepped beside Jacob. I did, and I will again. The king's jaw tightened. For the first time since Jacob entered, the mighty ruler looked uncertain. What happened between you two in those 3 years? Shook her head. It was not 3 years for me. Time was different in the rift. It felt like days, maybe weeks, and Jacob was there only at the end. Closed his eyes a moment. Relief washed through him. His daughter hadn't been alone with a stranger for years. But then he reopened them, colder. A human cannot remain in the royal palace, he declared. He will be examined, questioned, and then. Interrupted sharply, he stays with me. Thundered, this matter is not yours to decide. His voice cracked with emotion. Father, listen, Jacob is the reason I am alive. If he had looked away for even a second, you would still be mourning your daughter. His breath caught. Continued, tears forming. I owe him my life, and I will not abandon him now. Jacob whispered. Her hand slightly brushed his, hidden from the king. Stared at the two of them. Something shifted behind his eyes, fear, protectiveness, anger, confusion. Finally, he spoke. Very well, the human will stay under watch, but if he threatens the peace of my kingdom. He won't, said immediately. Lowered his head, conflicted. Tomorrow, he said, I will decide his fate. Guards moved in to escort Jacob away. Reached toward him, but the guards stepped between them. Jacob gave her a reassuring nod as he was taken, but felt a cold dread settle in her heart. Tomorrow might take him away forever. Night fell over the royal citadel, but no one slept. Not Jacob. Not even King. Guards placed Jacob inside a quiet observation chamber. No chains, no torture devices, just a single floating chair and bright, scanning lights. They were not cruel. They were cautious. Jacob sat calmly while machines scanned his body, measured his heartbeat, examined his thoughts through harmless waves. A young guard approached him. Human, are you afraid? Jacob shrugged. A little, but I've been through worse. The guard blinked, confused. You face judgment from the king of the strongest empire in this region. Jacob smiled. Yeah, I know. The guard stepped back, unsure whether Jacob was brave or simply insane. Across the palace, paced inside her old chamber. Everything was exactly as she had left it, books untouched, bed made, crystals glowing softly. Her father had preserved her room for years, refusing to let anyone change a single detail. Under normal circumstances, would have cried seeing it. But tonight she was too terrified. What if he rules against Jacob? She whispered into the empty room. What if he sends him away? What if he hurts him? She pressed her palms to her face, trying to calm herself. She had returned home, but she had also brought chaos with her. Her heart ached at the thought that her presence might cost Jacob his freedom or his life. A soft knock sounded. Princess, a guard asked from outside the door. Your father has requested your presence. His breath trembled. The judgment was beginning. The throne hall was brighter than before, filled with hundreds of nobles, scholars, generals, and royal advisors. Word had spread across the capital. The lost princess has Aritiornidi. And she brought a human. Curiosity, fear, excitement, everyone whispered. Entered with her chin up, though her stomach twisted with knots. She stood beside the king's throne but kept looking toward the side doors where Jacob would soon appear. Watched his daughter carefully. There was something in her eyes he had not seen before, not when she was a child, not when she trained, not even when she served on the royal council. There was a fire, soft but unbreakable. He did not yet understand it. But he would. The hall fell silent as the guards brought Jacob forward. He was unarmed, calm, and oddly steady. Even surrounded by alien royalty, he didn't show fear. Couldn't stop herself, she took a step toward him. Two guards moved immediately, blocking her. Stop, ordered. Let her stand where she wishes. Rushed to Jacob's side. Jacob whispered, "Hey, I'm okay." She shook her head. "You shouldn't be here." He smiled faintly, "But I am." King rose. The chamber vibrated with his voice. "Today, we judge the human who saved my daughter." Jacob muttered, "I'm starting to think your people really like dramatic speeches." Elbowed him lightly. "Jacob, please." The king continued. "He claims to have saved her out of mercy. He claims to want nothing in return, but a human's intentions must be tested." "Step down from the throne." "Jacob of Earth, why do you stay by my daughter's side?" Jacob looked at once, then faced the king. "Because she matters to me. She's brave and kind. She didn't treat me like an outsider. I didn't plan any of this. She just appeared in my life, and I'm not walking away." The crowd murmured loudly. His expression darkened. "Matters to you in what way?" Jacob hesitated, then spoke honestly. "In every way that counts." His breath froze. Caught it immediately, his eyes sharpened. "You care for my daughter," he said slowly, "more than a guardian should." Opened her mouth to speak, but Jacob stepped forward first. "Yes." The whole gasped. His voice lowered, dangerous. A human and a royal heir. He clenched his fist. "This is unacceptable." Shot forward, "Father, stop." But raised a hand. "You are blinded by gratitude and confusion, child, this human." "He saved me," she snapped. "He protected me. He comforted me when I woke up terrified. He stayed awake through storms. He refused to leave me behind. He saw me as more than royalty." Her voice shook, but her words were steel. "And I choose where I stand. I stand with him." Jacob stared at her, stunned. They had grown close on their journey, yes, but hearing her say this, so openly, so fiercely, made his chest tighten. His jaw trembled, not with weakness, but with emotion. "You would defy your kingdom for him." "I would do what is right," said. A long silence stretched across the hall. Nature itself seemed to hold its breath. Then spoke in a low, exhausted voice. Jacob of Earth stepped forward. Jacob obeyed, standing just an arm's length from the king. Looked at his daughter, then at the human. Finally, he said the words everyone dreaded and awaited. "Tomorrow, the human will face the trial of worth." Gasped, "No, father, it's deadly, you can't." Raised a hand. "If he is worthy, he will live. If not." He looked at Jacob solemnly. "He will not remain in this world." Guards moved instantly, pulling Jacob away. Shouted Jacob. He turned his head just before the doors closed. "Don't worry," he said softly. But tears told the truth. Tomorrow, Jacob would either prove humanity's strength or die trying. The palace courtyard was silent. Every guard, every advisor, every servant stood in a long half-circle around the king. The torches burned high, bright flames fighting the night wind. All eyes were fixed on the sky. They were waiting. They were afraid. And the King of Lords stood in the center, his massive frame trembling, his mind torn between hope and terror. Because tonight, his daughter was coming home. If she survived, if the human survived, if the battle in the sky truly ended. A soft whisper spread among the crowd. "There, look." Something broke through the clouds. First a spark, then a glowing trail, then finally a damaged transport ship dropping slowly toward the palace like a wounded bird. His breaths became rapid and unsteady. Please." He did not finish the sentence. His voice cracked. The ship shook violently as it made its final descent, metal panels falling off, engines coughing out dying flames. It would not make a clean landing. It was barely holding together. A guard shouted, "Your Majesty, step back, it may explode." But the king did not move. He stood tall, unwilling to be even one step farther from his child. With a tremendous crash, the ship slammed into the courtyard, sliding across the stone and throwing sparks everywhere. Dust and smoke swallowed the scene. The crowd gasped, felt his heart collapse inside him. No. He took one step forward, then another. LYRIAs. No answer. He rushed to the fallen ship, ignoring the heat, ignoring the sharp metal shards cutting into his hands. He tore at the broken door with all his strength. It didn't move. He roared and pulled harder. Still nothing. Then a hand appeared from inside, small, trembling, and familiar. "Father," a weak voice whispered. Froze, his heart stopped. His eyes filled so fast he could barely see. He ripped the door free with a strength born of desperation. Inside, Princess lay half-conscious, armor cracked, hair burned, face bruised but alive. Alive. He dropped to his knees and pulled her into his arms. "My child, my little star, I thought I lost you." His voice broke as he held her close. But shaking hand rose and pressed softly against his cheek. "I told you, I will always return." Laughed a broken, disbelieving laugh, as tears flowed freely down his face. But then whispered something else. "Father, help him." Stiffened. Him. The human. The one who brought her home. The one she risked everything for. He looked into the dark interior of the wrecked ship. "Where is he?" Tried to stand, but her legs failed. He saved me again. He shielded me from the last blast. He's hurt." Before she finished, was already inside, pushing away fallen debris. He found him. The same human who once stood trembling before an alien king, now lying broken inside a crushed metal frame. His breaths were shallow, his skin pale, his shirt soaked with blood. Knelt beside him. For a moment, just a single moment, the king felt fear greater than any battle he had fought. This human had protected his daughter when he could not. Now he was dying. Stirred weakly, eyes half open. "Hey, Your Majesty," he whispered with a faint smile. "Told you I'd bring her back." Swallowed hard. "You foolish, brave creature," he muttered, voice shaking. "Why would you risk this much?" Gave a broken, uneven laugh. "Because she matters." Crawled inside, pulling herself toward them despite the pain. Stay with me, please stay." He looked at her, eyes soft even through the suffering. "You came home, that's what matters." "No," cried, "you matter too." Placed a gentle but firm hand on her shoulder. "Bring the medics," he roared to the courtyard. "Now." Guards ran, healers rushed forward. But's hand reached toward the king's armor. Took it carefully. "Your Majesty, take care of her. She's stronger than she knows." His voice cracked deeply. "And you, human, are far stronger than I ever understood." Tried to smile again. "Took you long enough to realize." Then his eyes closed. The medics rushed forward. Screamed his name, trying to hold him, shaking him, begging him not to fade. Held her tightly as she cried into his chest, her whole body trembling. Hours later, the healers emerged with exhausted faces. "He lives," the chief medic announced. Collapsed to her knees in relief. Closed his eyes, whispering a silent thank you to the stars. Days passed. Healed. Slowly. Painfully. But he healed. And when he finally stood again, leaning slightly on a support rail, approached him in front of the entire court. The king placed a hand over his chest. "Not as a ruler, not as a judge, but in respect of Earth," he said loudly. "You did not only return my daughter, you returned my hope. You fought where even warriors of my own blood would fall. Today, you are no longer a visitor. You are family." smiled through tears, looked speechless. The crowd fell silent. Then one by one they bowed. For the human, for the one who brought their princess home, for the one who changed a kingdom. And as the torches burned high and bright, stepped beside and gently took his hand. She whispered something only he could hear. "You didn't just save me, you became part of my life." And with that, the human and the princess stood together. A symbol of courage. A symbol of unity. A symbol of why, in all the galaxy, humans were never to be underestimated.